Continuing with Genesis 32:3. And Yaakov sent messengers before him to Esau, his brother, to the land of Seir, the country of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, Thus shall you speak to my lord Esau. Thy servant Yaakov says thus, I have sojourned with Laban, and stayed there until now. And I have oxen and asses, flocks, and men servants, and women servants. And I have sent to tell my lord that I may find favor in thy sight. And the messengers returned to Yaakov, saying, We came to thy brother Esau, and also he's coming to meet thee, and 400 men with him. Then Yaakov was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that were with him, and the flocks, and the herds, and the camels, into 2 camps, and said, If Esau come to the one camp and smite it, then the camp which is left shall escape. And Yaakov said, O God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Yitzhak, the Lord who did say to me, Return to thy country and to thy kindred, and I will dwell well with thee. I am unworthy of the least of all the mercies and of all the truth which thou hast shown thy servant. For with my staff I passed over this yard, and now am become 2 camps. Deliver me, I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he come and smite me, the mother with the children. And the Lord did say, I will surely do thee good. And thou didst say, I will surely do thee good, and make thy seed like the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude. And he lodged there that same night, and took of that which came to his hand a present for Esau his brother, 200 she-goats, and 20 he-goats, and 200 ewes, and 20 rams, 30 milk camels, which with their colts, 40 cows, and 10 bulls, 20 she-asses, and 10 fowls. And he delivered them into the hand of his servants, every drove by itself, and said to his servants, Pass over before me, and put a space between drove and drove. And he commanded the foremost, saying, When Esau my brother meets thee, and asks thee, saying, Whose art thou? And whither dost thou go? And whose art these before thee? Then thou shalt say, They are thy servant Yaakov's. It is a present sent to my lord Esau. And behold, also he is behind us. And so commanded he the second, and the third, and all that followed the drove, saying, In this manner shall you speak to Esau when you find him. And say moreover, Behold, thy servant Yaakov is behind us. For he said, I will appease him with the present that goes before me, and afterwards I will see his face. Perhaps he will accept me. So the present went over before him, and he himself lodged that night in the camp. And he rose up that night, and he took his 2 wives and his 2 women servants and his 11 sons, and passed over the ford of Yabach. And he took them and sent them over the Wadai, and sent over that which he had. And Yaakov was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he did not prevail against him, he touched that hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Yaakov's thigh was put out of joint as he wrestled with him. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaks. And he said, I'll not let thee go, unless thou bless me. And he said to him, What is thy name? And he said, Yaakov. And he said, Thy name shall be called no more Yaakov, but Yisrael. For thou hast contended with God and with men, and hast prevailed. And Yaakov asked him, and said, Tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, Why is that thou dost ask after my name? And he blessed him there. And Yaakov called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God's face to face. I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. And as he passed over Penuel, the sun rose upon him. and he limped upon his thigh. Therefore the children of Israel eat not the sinew of the vein which is upon the hollow of the thigh to this day, because he touched the hollow of Yaakov's thigh in the sinew of the vein. And Yaakov lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau came, and with him 400 men. And he divided the children to Leah and to Rachel and to the 2 handmaids. And he put the handmaids and their children foremost, and Leah and her children after, and Rachel and Joseph last of all. And he passed over before them, and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. And Esau ran to meet him, and embraced him, and fell on his neck, and kissed him. And they wept. And he lifted up his eyes, and saw the women and the children. And he said, Who are those with thee? And he said, The children which God has graciously given thy servant. Then the handmaidens came near, they and their children, and they bowed themselves. And Leah also with her children came near, and bowed themselves. And after came Joseph near, and Rachel, and they bowed themselves. And he said, What meanest thou by all this drove which I met? And he said, These are to find favor in the sight of my Lord. And Esau said, I have enough, my brother. Keep what thou hast to thyself. And Yaakov said, By no means. If now I have found favor in thy sight, then receive my present at my hand. For truly I have seen thy face, as though I had seen the face of an angel. And thou wast pleased with me. Take, I pray thee, my blessing that is brought to thee, because God has dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough. And he urged him, and he took it. And he said, Let us take our journey, and let us go, and I will go before thee. And he said to him, My Lord knows that the children are tender, and the flocks and herds giving suck are a care for me. And if they should overdrive them one day, all the flock will die. Let my Lord, I pray thee, pass over before his servant, and I will lead on slowly, according to the pace of the cattle that goes before me and the children, until I come to my Lord to Seir. And Esau said, Let me now leave with some of the folk that are with me. And he said, What need is there? Let me find favor in thy sight of my Lord. So Esau returned that day on his way to Seir. And Yaakov journeyed to Sukkot, and built him a house, and made booths for his cattle. Therefore the name of the place is called Sukkot. And Yaakov came to Shalem, a city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, when he came from Padan Aram, and pitched his tent before the city. And he brought the piece of land in which he had spread his tent at the hand of the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. And he erected there an altar, and called it El Elohi Yisrael. And Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she bore to Yaakov, went out to see the daughters of the land. And when Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Hivite, prince of the country, saw her, he took her and lay with her and defiled her. And his soul was drawn to Dinah, the daughter of Yaakov, and he loved the girl and spoke kindly to the girl. And Shechem spoke to his father Hamor, saying, Get me this child for a wife. And Yaakov heard that he had defiled Dinah his daughter. Now his sons were with his cattle in the field, and Yaakov held his peace until they were come. And Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out to Yaakov to speak with him. And the sons of Yaakov came from the field when they heard it. And the men were grieved, and they were very angry, because he had done a disgraceful thing in Israel in lying with Yaakov's daughter, which the thing ought not be done. And Hamor said with them, saying, The soul of my son Shechem longs for your daughter. I pray you give her to him to wife, and make marriages with us, and give us your daughters to us, and take our daughters to you. And you shall dwell with us, and the land shall be before you. Dwell and trade in it, and get property in it. And Shechem said to her father and to her brethren, Let me find favor in your eyes, and what you shall say to me, I will give. Ask me never so much dowry and gift, and I will give according as you shall say to me, but give me the girl for wife. And the sons of Yaakov answered Shechem and Hamor his father with cunning, because he had defiled Dinah their sister. And they spoke, and they said to them, We cannot do this thing to give our sister to one that is uncircumcised, for that would be a reproach to us. But in this we will consent to you. If you will be as we are, that every male of you be circumcised, then will we give our daughters to you, and we will take your daughters to us, and we will dwell with you, and we will become one people. But if you will not hearken to us to be circumcised, then will we take our daughter, and we will be gone. And their words pleased Hamor and Shechem, Hamor's son. And the young men didn't delay to do the thing, because he had delight in Yaakov's daughter. And he was the most honored of all the house of his father. And Hamor and Shechem his son came to the gate of their city, and spoke with the men of their city, saying, These men are peaceable with us, therefore let them dwell in the land, and trade in it, for the land, behold, is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters to us for wives, and let us give them our daughters. Only on this condition will the men consent to us to dwell with us, to be one people. If every male among us be circumcised, as they are circumcised, shall not their cattle and their substance and every beast of theirs be ours? Only let us consent to them, and they will dwell with us. And to Hamor and to Shechem his son, all that went out of the gate of his city hearkened, and every male was circumcised that all went out of the gate of his city. And it came to pass on the third day, when they were in pain, that two of the sons of Yaakov, Shimon and Levi, Dinah's brethren, took each man his sword, and came upon the city unresisted, and slew all the males. And they slew Hamor and Shechem his son with the edge of the sword, and they took Dinah out of Shechem's house and went out. The sons of Yaakov came upon the slain and plundered the city, because they had defiled their sister. They took their sheep and their oxen and their asses, and that which was in the city, and that which was in the field, and all their wealth, and all their little ones, and their wives, and they took captive, and plundered all that was in the house. And Yaakov said to Shimon and Levi, You've brought trouble unto me to make me odious among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaani and the Perizzai. And I being few in number, they shall gather themselves together against me to slay me, and I shall be destroyed, I and my house. But they said, Should he deal with our sister as a harlot? That's Genesis up to 35.